Welcome back. Once again, I'm going to roll a dice. It's got the names of all the requests on. I realised last night I had another request that wasn't in my my group. So I've reused the dice, but this time I've just switched out the rabbit one for an additional name. So if I just pop down here, I can open up my dice bag and just roll this straight out. Hey, it's the one I was dreading. So, looks like we're drawing this one today. PinkAppleJam is the only friend I have who is like a proper professional artist. Actually, I might have I don't know. Do I have any other friends who are professional artists? I'd say if I had to name like a person that I knew who was a professional artist, this is probably the name that would come up. We used to work in a game studio together. She was in the art department, I was a developer. Doesn't matter. So, first up, let's quit out of this. Boop. And here we are. Got my canvas all ready. Yeah. Let's get a decent tool on. Right. Why is that not centered? There we go. So the request for this one, I'm just going to get the actual details of it up, were the late 80s vomited on a cat, curly hair, bows and a bad fringe. So I don't know what a bad fringe is. I don't really know that much about 80s clothes. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to go on a little adventure. You get to come with me. And we are going to go 80s. Whoops. It's me reaching around the keyboard because the tablet is in front of it. 80s. Fashion. Okay, I'm seeing lots of different styles here. So we're looking for something bad fringe, we're looking for something curly hair. Not to use as a reference, you understand, just because I don't know anything about 80s fashion. I grew up in the 80s, but I wasn't fashionable, so... That's pretty good. So, what's that? A shell suit? I did actually have a shell suit when I was younger. That's a woven nylon jacket, for those not in the know. Although we could go down the shoulder pads route. That's a modern picture, that's not an 80s picture. A lot of these are like modern retakes on the 80s, which almost always are not actual 80s clothes. They're rehashes, rejigs, reboots, whatever you want to call it. So I am tempted to go with shell suit top, denim jeans, bum bag, why not, or fanny pack as the Americans call it. And then we've got bad perm and fringe, and also it's a cat. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that as a general style. So, what that immediately tells me... Well, my zoom key's not working, there we go. That immediately tells me that this is now the wrong way around. Okay, so now we can do a tall character. This is going to be humanoid, not plush like yesterday. So, paranoia check. I was right to paranoia check. I don't have this set to the right desktop scaling. You can see right up my nose when I look over there. That'll help my brush strokes to actually hit the things that they're meant to be hitting. Yeah. Okay. So. It's going to be. Let's just lock that. That's better. For some reason, that was suddenly very briefly quite janky. Don't know why. Right. So first we need a pose. I'm thinking kind of an anime pose. This sort of one hand on hip, one hand doing the old V for victory, head tilted opposite direction sort of thing, tail like that. It's a cat. That kind of works as a pose, right? Kind of sort of works, maybe. So we need a that's about right for the head. Body shape. Gonna go for the sort of the hourglassy kind of figure. Why not? It's a cat. This leg comes in front. These are going to be. We don't have to worry too much about the body shape for this because jeans. You know, that's going to cover some sins because they didn't really have the form-fitting jeans back then. This paw's kind of going to be here-ish. This one more kind of. We've got thumb arms like that. This is one of the good things about doing furries is that, unlike animals where you have to kind of figure out the anatomy for every different animal that you draw, with so a lot of these, think about it, a lot of these lines are going to be undefined because they're going to be shell suit lines. The only things that we really need is the fact that, as I recall it, the wrist, yeah, you see, if you look here, the wrists on shell suits, they were always elasticated, and they were elasticated around the waist as well. That was like the weirdest thing about them, is that although they were very loose and baggy, they would always be elasticated around the wrists and around the waist. Not around the neck though, which is interesting. The biggest worry is going to be getting a nice sort of wild colour scheme for this. So there's the front of that. This, we know it's going to, the body's going to come like this. Actually, even though the head's going to be tilting this way slightly because it's going to be that kind of, that sort of shape. Like straight up cat. Cats have their eyes closed together because they are predators. We need to have this cinched in around the waist where the elasticated waist of the thing is. So they did kind of have... Do they have lapels? Honestly, I'm going to have to keep switching back to this window. What was the neckline of a shell suit like? Well, it depends. Some of them zipped all the way down, some of them only zipped part way down. I feel like I want to do one that only zips part way down, because then we get that nice sort of splayed neck. So it's going to be up around the neck and then come down like that. So it would have zipped up to there, but instead it... Hang on, I need that back a second. Yeah, it kind of comes out. So that the neckline comes up there, and then it comes out like that. And that comes around, that comes up to the... It's actually deeper than that. It sort of goes down like that, and this comes up here. Have the zip end there. So that kind of folds over like that. We'll do the hand later. But we do know that we need the wrist to have that elasticated thing around it, as does this one. It's going to crump into this. God, in many ways, shell suits are great to draw because they require so little definition to actually get them right. But it will stretch up around the neck there. I feel like one of the best things I can do with this character... let's fix that foot. I feel like that foot should have less... I think these are meant to be cat paws, so they're going to have the same, that kind of look. This one needs to be more like facing towards us. Kind of almost. I'll figure that out when I get to it. And I was going to have a bum bag, wasn't I? So around here we're going to have sort of the bum bag pouch thing. Have the belt visible. Zipper on the front. One thing I do want to do with this is that this is going to be, and this is a bit cheeky, she has a cat. She never specified a breed of cat, but she has a cat. So what I'm going to do is actually make this cat her cat. I'm going to redo that entire face because I feel like the whole thing is wrong. Her cat's got this very sort of ruffled neck thing going on. So I feel like that should be kind of ruffled down through there. Like it should overlap with the collar in the ruff. So you're actually going to see the fur line come down here and over that. Let's get a picture of the cat up. There's our cat. Right then, very, very roughly, very fluffy. In fact, you literally cannot get the side of this cat's head without it being fluffy all over. So that's going to be all fluffy down there. I think because of the way I've posed this, the face has to turn slightly that way, which means that the nose will be off center. Sort of there-ish. Going to have one eye here. One eye here, but that one's going to be a winky eye. Just so you can see, this isn't, I'm not like copying someone else's, whoops. I'm not copying another picture, that is literally a photo of her cat that I'm looking at here. And it has, thank God, some defined colour to its face, this cat. I think it's a male cat, his face. So that part there is going to be white. Yeah, that's... And of course we're going to have hair on this cat. It's going to have permed hair, which I don't know if you remember yesterday when I was trying to draw curly hair. Not the easiest thing in the world to draw. It's striped down here, but like orangey stripes. We'll do that on the day, but we're not going to see any of that because what we're actually going to have is a bad fringe. Like, how do you define a bad fringe? Permed hair. Like, I feel like the 80s haircut was the bob, you know, it was this thing with the fringe here. And that hair's going to disappear behind that ear. This ear's going to come here. Right. This is basically our pencils at this point. We should really do the same number of fingers on both hands. Can you imagine? But I feel like these fingers are all going to be together. So we can just... We'll mitten it for now. We'll just mitten it. And we'll figure the rest out later. Right. And of course the tail comes... back here. We don't have to see where that comes out. Right, so Oop. And on that bombshell, it's time for me to take my pill. One moment while I pause my recording. We're back on? We're back on. Awesome. So, just having a little close up here. I feel like this eye is like way over the side of the face. Like this is way wrong. Both of these eyes are completely wrong. God, this is really scratchy when you look at it from a distance. Like when you zoom in, you go, ah. Like thinking about it, if the center of the face is here, the nose is slightly this way because of the what do you call it? 3D, the third dimension. It's fucked us up. So your eyes are going to be here. That means that this one will be here, this one will be here, but of course this one will be a wink. The nose needs to be more pointed, possibly tilted a little bit this way. Like that, which would then set the centre of the mouth there. And for the fur on the face, just get rid of that centre line. There is a kind of a muzzle going on, but it sort of starts at the nose and then basically just comes down. And that part is white, the rest of it is orange. We'll figure out the rest as we go. But I think this is good for now. This is a good starting point. So, with that in mind, let's drop the opacity on that, create an ink layer. And here we go. Going to start from the head as usual. These two sides have to match. That's all they have to do is match. That'll do. Yep, we're going to have the wink there. And I'm going to do something really unusual on this, which is I'm going to add my eye shine as an actual, like that. That's for a very good reason. When I come back to it, you'll be amazed at why I did that. That's going to blow your minds, but not yet. So this hairline needs to kind of come across all the way on both sides. Whoops. Let's get on the right layer. Get in the right colour. Let me just go back onto this. So this hairline actually comes down to here. And we can have a little bit come there as a kind of, as a treat. Maybe have it come... No, I feel like the side of the face should win out in that situation. This fringe should come here all the way around. Yeah, the fringe should go to about there. This comes down from here. Yeah. Right. So that means that this side of the face here comes all the way down to there. There is a kind of under chin line, but it's kind of here-ish. I just heard my dog outside. That should kind of come down like that, but the zipper needs to kind of stick out the side. We'll leave it like that for now. That seems good enough for now. As I was saying earlier, the great thing about shell suits is they kind of have this ruckledness about them, which hides a lot of sins if you don't want to draw exact shapes. It means you have to add extra texture later. That's maybe a little bit too ruckled. What would win out there? Would it come in like that, or would it... I'm going to leave it like that for now. So this shoulder... This will definitely have a kind of ruckled curl there. Now thinking about it, I've drawn these flat, they should kind of be rounded. And that should ease into it. As should this. I feel like there should be a faint line there where that attaches. Maybe a similar thing here. Now these are jeans, of course, so we don't have to worry too much about extra layers of texture on jeans. I would like to get this ankle right though. Just a little bit. I am leaving that hair for later. I know that you might be thinking, oh, how come she's not done the hair yet? That's by design, because I hate drawing hair. I really hate drawing hair. That should be more kind of that shape. That's it. You come over here, sharp turn there, and then see, that makes it look too round. It needs to have that kind of that to it. And the same on here. So that one goes there, and this one comes up here. Now, thinking about the head, I've done this wrong. The 3D forms of these ears are wrong, because if you think about them, if from the front, let's go to the transparency layer, if from the front they look like that, and they have a little bit here, then if you turn it to its side, it's going to have a narrower part there and a wider part there, which is what this one has. But this one is turned towards us. So these ears are completely wrong. It is this one that should be like that, and this one that should be like that. Let's look at the lines on the head, right? That one should kind of go there. If we do a... that one should be on that side, this one should be on this side, so that one should come to there and kind of down to here-ish. Whereas meanwhile that one disappears kind of behind the head almost. I almost feel like that one should be behind the hair. Yeah. That one like that, completely behind the hair. This one over here that comes in front of hair. Like this. And then the hair will come in front here and a little bit will go behind there. And then the hair comes back around there. Now they look too close together. I feel like this ear should be further this way. It's the right shape, the wrong place. So this is good. It means I'm developing an eye for these things. So I can look at it and go, well, that's wrong. Which is, of course, a good thing. It's not great from the perspective of, well, you're getting it wrong. But it is better from a perspective of, well, you can tell when you're getting it wrong. Except, of course, I have to then get it right. Right, let's just... there's our top line. We know that somewhere on here, there's the centre of our head. So if that distance is there, that should be the same again to there. So that is where the top of that ear should go. And that should entirely disappear behind the hair. That should come in there, that will go in there. Yes. So then we have a little ruckle of hair that comes here, which then joins up with a ruckle of hair that comes here. That disappears into there. There's our ears. Back to the ink. This one just peaks above and then goes behind again. Let's just get this right first. Does that make the hair look like it's coming from inside the ears though? See, at this point I'm kind of taking her at her word and doing a bad perm. That chin line's all wrong. Just taking off that line, I can see that. What I need is for that chin line to come round from there. So this needs to essentially take over at this part of the face. Like that. Better but not quite, but I'll leave it for now. I'll fix it up later. Right now I'm going to focus on other aspects of this costume, such as knees, cuffs, or in other words, jeans. And of course the infamous bum bag. The most late 80s thing ever. Now one thing we definitely need is, this is a cat, so it needs claws. Let's think, where would cat claws go? Cat claws they would come out this way, wouldn't they? Just take the end off of that because we're going to do a claw on it. Come on, we learnt this about drawing claws, didn't we? We did a whole thing on it when I was doing the parakeet, or the budgie for the rest of us. We know that for this, the idea is that you go down to a little tapered line, like that. That's how you make it look sharp. The thing is, you need an undo button for all the times that you think you've switched pens to draw a different width line, or you think you've switched to erase mode to get rid of something, and it just hasn't. It's still a regular line pen. A little bit of artistic license, as we discovered from doing the animal pieces. I guess you call them fingers. What would you call them? The digits of things like cats get wider at the tips, but if you draw them that way, they look kind of wrong. Actually, look at what I've got on my pencil layer. What is anyone supposed to make of that? So we know the hand comes up like this. It splits out like that. We know that that one is longer than that one. there's our fingers. That looks fucking broken. Now, that also looks wrong. Oddly, it looks fine on the sketch, but it looks wrong there. Because on the sketch, it needs to go more like that. Yeah. I'm not going to actually stick to the sketch. Why am I even bothering doing it? It just looks wrong. It looks so bad. Back to the sketch layer. So, what are fingers? Fingers, if we say that's the main part of the hand, the fingers will come this way and this way. That's essentially what we're actually, it's more sort of like that. That's what we're going for. I'm looking at my own hand here and I'm going like, what is a hand? What are fingers? What year is it? Who's the president? So they should go like that. That one should be slightly longer because it's the middle finger. Sooner or later I just have to accept whatever I draw at this point. That'll do. That one won't. It looks like a sausage. That will do. Sort of. I feel like there needs to be a gap between them. Like just a thin gap would do it. Just to show that they're not sort of strung together like a bunch of bananas. They're not actually touching. There. And then we round those off. God, the number of times I press that button to switch pen modes and it doesn't go. That's what you get if you buy the cheap tablet. Happy with that? You know, I'm just putting off doing these paws. I will do anything to avoid drawing those paws. Let's get the tail in next. The great thing about this, we don't have to worry about how the tail comes out of the trousers, because the tail basically disappears into the back of the jeans. Now, the one most important thing is that the tail doesn't get wider and narrower as it goes. it stays a fixed size. That's probably too thick. That'll do, pig. But given the breed of the cat, the tail won't end like that. The tail will end like that, and will in fact be fluffy, but only on the outer edges. So there, where there's a curl, it'll be fluffy, and here where there's a curl, it will be fluffy. Yes. So let's zip in here. For this we can do a much more paw-like finish, because these fingers So basically my confession is I wanted to draw furry art because I thought that claws were easier to draw than hands, and it turns out you actually have to draw hands with the claws on, so it doesn't help at all. Actually, thinking about it, cats have retractable claws. So a hand at rest wouldn't necessarily have the claws out, whereas a hand that was tense would. That's right. I just scienced myself out of having to draw something. I'm going to tuck that thumb into the belt. No, I can't tuck the thumb into the belt because that is over the top of it. So really the thumb's going to be out here when you think about it. That's where the thumb's going to be. We knew it was coming. So we need a heel. Do cats have a dew claw on their heel? I'm not sure. So if this is the centre of the foot here, we know that we need one more toe here and quite possibly one more toe there. But that one is shorter, we know that much. as is this one actually. It's quite a lot shorter, so we get a bit more of the underhang from that toe, and then this one comes in. You didn't see this, but I just used the back of my hand to wipe this as if I were going to wipe away some bits of pencil. Like, because I just used the eraser tool, so of course I have pencil to wipe off. Yeah, every time you see me do a little scribble in black ink, what that is me attempting to use the eraser tool, but it hasn't switched, so I've just gone to scribble. As I'm there, I've tried to switch to the right tool and then immediately use it, but it hasn't quite picked up the fact that I'm trying to switch tools yet. I feel like I've done nice big soft paws down there and weird spindly hands up here. Hands are too small. After all that time I've spent doing it, the hands are literally too small. They're these tiny little... They need to be larger. I love that hand and I'm going to keep it as a reference, but it's too small. Right, back to my pencils. How long have I been recording? Oh Jesus, it's already an hour. I've not even started on the colour yet. So the hand needs to be... Oh. The hand needs to be like sort of this size to match this, because you should be able to cover your entire face with one hand. So if the face is this large, the hand needs to also have the potential to be that large, as does this one. So if the fingers don't reach all the way into it, that means your hand is the wrong size. That's science. So if we know that the centre of the hand is going to be down here, then we know that we have one finger from the middle, that's the middle finger, slightly offset going this way. One finger coming this way. They don't quite meet. We have the thumb here, like this. That's a proper sized hand. If anything, the thumb should be further in, like it's too wide for the length at the moment, so hands was going to be week 2 of Bodtober. I never got onto it because I started with feet, and I shouldn't have done. I should have started with hands, because when I stopped it meant I didn't get any practice of drawing hands. So the thumb should come all the way across here. The back of that, that's 1, 2, 3 segments of finger. That part comes in there, that part goes into there. That gap is too wide. Right then. So back onto here. You see, it now looks too wide for the wrist. The hand's too big for the wrist. Oh god, this is just going to be a freaking nightmare, isn't it? Okay. I am actually going to keep the claws on this side actually. I had a little think about it. So I should really be talking more and doing this because I am videoing it, you know. Having kind of think about it, I think that anyone with a cat persona wants claws. Let's face it, that's like the number one thing about cats is that they have claws. So it's like a major component of the form. May have made that a little too short. The other thing is, if you ever see me make a mistake and I immediately zoom in and out again, that's because I've been resting my finger on the wrong button, and as I've gone to undo something, I've accidentally hit the zoom out button instead of the undo button. And that's what's happened. So I feel like we've got all the major forms now. Maybe we need a little bit of shape there. I feel like if we zoom out and now turn off this layer, it looks like not too garbage maybe. I feel like the legs are perhaps a little short. But you know what, I'm going to stick with this and go on to the next step, which is colouring it. Yeah, colouring it. So, how to colour shell suit. Here's some pointers. I say some pointers, I'm making this up as I go along. We know that the inner colour of this will be different to the outer colour of it. We know that this needs patches probably on the arms. Maybe like a motif down here. Let's start a new layer for colours. So firstly, I feel like we need to fill that in and that in the same colour. This should probably, as well as being an accent colour here, should be an accent colour on maybe the shoulders or the arms perhaps. So I think possibly like that kind of shape. Let's have another look at those reference images we had. There's my browser window. So, yeah, this one here has got sort of it's white, but with like the pink part there. But the pink part is also because that's the same colour all the way back. Oh, it's a separate window. That's the pink part there. Is there any other shell suits on this list? I feel like there were more. Yeah, that one has different coloured arms. The one further down. Rolled up sleeves, not a look I went for. Maybe I should have done. But I feel like white with the pink and green accents is going to go well. Maybe this look, this sort of the top halves of the arms, a different colour. So I'm going to do a combination of that and this. So I'm going to do cuffs, top half of the forearms, and that neckline with the stripe. So we're going to go neckline with the stripe, that's going to be pink. We're also going to have like this section here be pink to match it. Then that was kind of a, I guess you'd call it like a mint green. What was like that kind of colour? For the forearm sections there and the top half of here. The other thing to remember is that these will of course be like, none of the patterns will be straight because they'll be as ruckled as the rest of it. And then we have a different colour cuff. I'm going to go pink on the cuffs as well. So pink from that point down and from that point down. The point of these lines will become evident in a moment. So it's going to be a slightly ruckled looking front. And we're going to go with that green stripe. Can I just zoom in and grab that? I'm going to go with that green stripe at the bottom here. And then grab that and do that. So basically this, yeah, that section is the colour and then we put the stripe in afterwards. Yeah, why not? So let's grab this colour and we just need to kind of wrinkle it in. I'm going to add some texture into this afterwards, but let's get the colours in first to help sort of identify the bits. I feel like that part wouldn't be as ruckled because it's kind of stretched taut. This we're seeing underside of the hand, so that stripe would be, if at all, it would just be there. Right, so now that's maybe a little too vivid actually. We dampen it down just a little bit, make it maybe a little bit paler. That didn't do anything at all, did it? Going to redo that stripe afterwards. Is it important for it to be legally distinct from the garment that I'm using as a reference? Like, are the like the literal fashion police going to come at me for this? Anything's possible. Like in this year of 2020, amateur art vlogger gets sued for millions, loses house and home because of copied 80s design. Honestly, I could imagine it. I could see that happening for reals at this point in the year. I'll leave that because we know that the paws are going to be coloured in anyway. Although yeah. Thinking about the three-dimensional aspect of this, these ruckles would have discontinuities in the pattern. That's probably a little bit too out there. I'm going to say it has a panel of this colour at the back. I'm going to imagine that being a different colour on the back, because these things, they were just stitched together from any old shite. Well, not from any old shite, it was all nylon, but like the colours on them could be anything. Going back to here briefly, just so that I can add thin line there for that. And now we get to colour the actual cat part. Jeans. And also, another element that these outfits had was pockets. Yeah, I know it's far-fetched to imagine this now, but there were pockets in most of these outfits. And they would also have the same colour pattern. I feel like what we need to have here is to continue this fringe up and down here. And this part maybe needs to have a little bit more form to it. Let's think about this. Happened again. So this at this point needs to come down a bit, and this one needs to go up a bit. Maybe from about there. Yeah. No. Yes. So, ginger cat colour. We're looking for something orangey. Yes. If it's good enough for Garfield, it's good enough for Rollins. So now here's the thing, I'm pretty sure that part of the cat's paws is white, and I'm not sure which part, so I might have to go in and undo some of this later. At first I thought it was like the underside was white, but I don't think it is. I know I get to invent it because it's basically, you know, I'm drawing this, but I do want to kind of at least attempt to match the cat that this is based on, because I think that would be hilarious if nothing else. A few other people have told me, like in the request, I said, what does the persona wear? Like, what does your character wear? What do you want to dress them in? And their answer has been like, they've included shoes. And to me that seems kind of bizarre, because like, there's only a couple of things that set these aside from just being people. And it's the paws, and it's the head. Like, at some point you're just drawing a person, you know? I'll undo some of this later because of course the underside of the chin is going to be white. But for now let's just get the larger colours in here. Now watch this. I mentioned this earlier and I said, you're not going to believe what happens when I fill this in later. So now you're about to see. I'm going to pick the right shade first. Kind of an olivey green. Now watch this. Ha! Automatic for the people. Right, that was it really. Of course, it's going to turn out, I just know that when I've finished doing this, it's going to turn out that I was the least cool person in the whole of the 80s and that nobody else on Earth wore shell suits. Like, this is now a thing that we look back at and laugh because the actual fashionable people of the 80s were wearing something else. You know, actually, just this layer, Jesus. That's better. let's get this right. What colour is it? Actually, no, I know exactly what colour Ronnie's nose is. It's a kind of reddish pink. Maybe a touch lighter than that actually. And I think for the hair, which is very ill-defined there, we need to stick with a kind of like a natural hair colour, something brown. Maybe like a darker variant of the fur, a bit more reddish. Whoops. I'll fix that up in a minute, that looks wrong. Just realised I haven't coloured the ears. I have to go back for those. There's not much to talk about while you're filling in large areas of colour. Think of a conversational topic. You know, I was talking to Becky today. That's my wife, not the person whose cats I keep drawing. And I was saying to her that we have a really interesting dual sort of a yin-yang thing going on, because she's got problems with anxiety, and as a result of that she needs to listen to a lot of quiet music, you know, relaxing stuff to sort of bring herself down. Whereas conversely, because of the medication that I'm on, I'm like perpetually chilled out. And being perpetually chilled out means that when I listen to music, I usually listen for something that's going to like sort of hype me up. Which is kind of an interesting yin-yang we've got going on. Let's get these ears coloured in. See, doing things with colour means that I can do some things that previously were very difficult to do in black and white. So the ears of a cat have an interesting texture. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. See, they have this kind of inner layer of fur, which if you try and draw it with dark lines means that like if you try and capture the texture of it by adding dark lines, it darkens the inside of the ears. But the inside of a cat's ears are not dark. The insides of a cat's ears are light. And what you really want to do is this. This is how you texture the inside of a cat's ears. Like that. Come down here for the paws. Technically, I guess these paws should have fuzzy bits, but I didn't do them on, and it's a bit late now, so we're going to stick with what we've got, because I'm really pleased with these paws. It was the weirdest thing drawing that underside of the cat's paw. When I was doing my How to Furry examination, the little study that I did on the 20th, 19th. It was quite illuminating, because when you realise what the actual shape of the paw is, it becomes a lot easier to do it in 3D. Realising that like the middle two toes are longer than the outer two toes. Stonewash jeans. Need a colour for the bum bag as well. Needs a front colour and a flap colour. I'm going to zoom in more to get the detail around the claws later. Or now. I mean, really, I should try and capture that. Ah, Jesus. Oh, so this is what repetitive strain injury is. Sudden realisation that I have to colour the tail in still as well. Technically, like, jeans should have a few more construction lines on them because, like, there's stitching on them, and I try and capture those kind of little details, but I feel like the stitching on jeans and any trousers really kind of highlight the crotch a little bit, and I don't really want to do that because it's kind of weird. And that's coming from me calling that weird, so. I feel like whatever I end up with at the end of today is going to be a much more clear indicator of what my art is like than yesterday's, because yesterday's was made on very clear, simple forms. You know, the arms were basically cylinders, the head was basically a sphere, the eyes were just circles for buttons. I think in terms of my ability to draw more complex characters, today is going to be a closer indication. And I don't think I'm going to shade this because my hand's already cramping up. My recording timer says 1 minute 46. This is a lot longer than I would normally spend doing one of these. But obviously, how does the saying go? First you get good, then you get fast, then you get good and fast. I'm still getting good. I can't wait till I can be fast and bad. But I need to be good before I can be fast and bad. Colour for the bum bag. I feel like this doesn't have enough yellow on it. Yellow was quite a prevalent colour back in the... It was kind of a neon yellow though. Like practically a green. Like that. A couple of messages, better check those out.
Me and 6 of my buddies utilized these tips, and even though about half of us had never even done an escape room before,
Why the hell is it? Get out of it. Honestly, you go to your phone and... Right. So part of that was like an important thing with Becky, but part of it was a discussion that I've been having recently with my friend Vicky. One thing that we constantly talk about is this concept of the beautiful people. Who are the beautiful people? I will explain. The beautiful people are when there seem to be some people, and you probably encountered them, if not in real life, then at least you probably knew a few in school, who could seem to do no wrong. Like, regardless of anything, that they seem to always have everything in their lives sorted out. They were, you know, popular, good at sports, that whole thing. Now, the other day I was decrying the fact that I'm not one of the beautiful people. It's got nothing to do with beauty. That's just the phrase that I was using for it. It's people that seem to be charmed that things always like work out for them somehow. If not always work out, then it's like they have some extra thing, some X factor, some extra thing about them that means that when they put effort into something, it works. And when other people put effort into something, it doesn't work. I feel like that belt's the wrong colour. That's better. So, like, for example, there are people out there who do art streams, and their art's, you know, it's okay. But not going to name any names, but there's some people that I know how to explain it. So I think that I put a lot of detail into my artworks, and I think they look okay. But there are some people that can just sort of draw a very simple collection of lines and circles, and it doesn't even really look like a person, but like the proportions are all wrong. It's all stretched and squished, but somehow, like, it looks good. I can't explain it. It's like they have some sort of magic in their pen, which obviously I don't have, because I have to do sketches, and I'm not talking about people who like are just genuinely good at art. I'm not talking about people who are crap, but because of some other aspect of what they do, like they're popular. Like, there are a lot of people who stream on the internet, and it's pretty obvious that the only reason they have followers is because they do big giveaways, or they, you know, they have some element of opulence or affluence, and other people want that. Like, that's pretty obvious. Everyone knows why that happens. I'm talking about people who, I don't know, things just seem to happen easier for them. Like, maybe they have charisma, or it's something about them that just means that they have confidence to do things that other people don't. Like, I second guess myself constantly, and I don't know why I do that. I just do, and it's a constant chore for me to not constantly be worrying about. Like, for example, I've changed the colour of this now 3 times. know, it's just hard to define. Have you ever met someone for whom things just seem to come effortlessly? And maybe they did put in the effort, but they managed to make it look effortless. When I put in effort, you can see the effort. Oh, I just realised why that's going wrong every single time. I'm hitting the undo button as a way of holding the control key. So yes, people for whom life seems to come effortlessly. They just seem to have the confidence to do things that other people would feel really nervous at. And people can tell that you're nervous. You know, it's something that we don't talk about a lot, is the fact that if you're nervous about something, people can tell. And it's the same the world over. Like, if you don't feel nervous, people can tell you don't feel nervous, and as a result, you do better. Like, if you don't think something's going to go wrong, it doesn't go wrong. I'm getting too tied up into this because I'm almost done with the art. But to me, that's what the beautiful people are. It's for people for whom, like, they don't worry about fucking up, and as a result, they don't fuck up. Like, how do you get to that stage where you're so confident that you're going to do well that you do well? I don't get it. How does it work? What's the secret sauce? It is a mystery. And we're going to end this with a simple top layer thing. We're going to do it in... we'll do it in... I'm going to do it in that specific sort of... Yeah, I'm going to write... 19... 87. Yeah. Except I was going to do that in the colour, wasn't I? Better. Why do they get bigger as they go? And then with the size back down as it was. So yeah, the discussion that we had was, do I resent the beautiful people or would I like to be one? And it's something interesting, I think, to think about. Like, if there was something that you could do that would just magically make you more confident and successful, but also would make you like all the people that you've kind of grown to resent through the years, would you do it? Actually, no, I feel like I should do this slightly differently. The proper 90s kids in the audience have probably already figured out what I'm doing here. How would that go? That would go like that, wouldn't it? 19. How would this look? We need the arced top. We need that part. Seven's a bad number to do there. Let's do 1986. It's a lot easier. You know, the 8's the only part that looks good. I was better off with the digital readout part. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's go back to a digital readout. In fact, we don't even need a year. I was going to do it as a fun thing, but we don't need a year. We're done. We're done. This is finished. It's over. It's complete. I'm happy with it. No, I'm not. There's one other thing it needs. It needs slight coloration change. Need to zoom in here. We need the size back down at a sensible level. And I'm just going to do a like that. I'm pretty sure Rollins, the cat, has a white belly. Maybe a little white bit on the paws would be good as well. Should I fill the white in? Just with a behind brush. Just basically try and get in all those white parts. Just for completeness, really. I like the idea of having transparent versions of these to plant onto other backgrounds, you know. So behind brush is great for this because it won't interrupt any of the other colours. God, staring at this checkerboard background is making me go weird. Like in the eyes, it's sending me. Ooh. Just totally. Boz-eyed is what they used to call it. I'm not sure if like I need to add texture to this. I feel like it has enough texture in the outline, in the contour, that you can sort of tell that it's got that ruckledness to it. I was reading a thing today on drawing fabric textures though, and it did look interesting, but not one for the second hour. Not one for the start of the third hour on a long art project when it's late and I'm tired and my eyes hurt and I just want it to be over. God, let it be over. Hello. Silhouette. Yeah. So at this point I can make the background any colour I want. I can even give it a jazzy, awesome 80s background with a gradient between two funky colours. With these sort of hot blue stripes. Let's use the ink tool. Don't use the ink tool very often, it's a good tool, but that's not really what I want though, is it? It's what I want is more. Well, what do I want? Done. Let's stop this recording and start uploading.